on Ctv3 News. Police uncover large cannabis catch in Orange Walk, no arrest made. A tragic aviation accident claims the life of a crop duster pilot in Spanish Lookout. High Court to decide whether reinstated harm charge against police constable can proceed. And is the NBC forcing the Transport Department out of its offices in Corozal and Belize City? We'll tell you. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast for Tuesday, July 7th, 2026.
This donation means a lot to us. It's a huge capacity building. We have a very good condition working ambulance that kind of expands our fleet. We already have one working ambulance, and we have another one now that doubles us. And we have one in repair, so we'll have about 3 or 4 ambulances available. Mr. Furr was kind enough to donate an X-ray machine, and that greatly increases our capacity as well to have X-rays done for our soldiers from various sports injuries and exercise-related injuries. And then we had a defibrillator from him as well, which again will help our doctors to assist not only soldiers, but patients from outside of the Ladyville community as well.
We had the equipment, but we did not have the personality, like it's the professionals on board. So for that reason, it's to be in contact with the BDF medics. So I realized that just bring it together, and then it's about supporting my own country.
Mr. Furr, your generosity demonstrates a profound sense of patriotism, compassion, and commitment to the development of Belize. Your willingness to support the Belize Defense Force reflects your understanding in that the security and well-being of our soldiers is vital to the security and the well-being of Belize.
Gather your friends and watch the World Cup at Lamanai Riverside Retreat. Every game, every goal, every day. Watch the world's biggest football celebration right here at Lamanai Riverside Retreat.
The biggest soccer season is here. Are you ready to experience the front row from home? Experience stadium level immersion with Samsung's latest technology. Perfect for every room. Your favorite Crystal UHD and QLED smart TVs are ready for you. Now at the best price. From your 32-inch personal fan zone at just $369 to the massive 85-inch home stadium experience for only $2,579. We have the perfect upgrade for every fan. Get yours with confidence at Cellular World, the authorized distributor in Belize, and receive a 1-year warranty. Visit us today and take advantage of these promotions, valid until June 15th. Upgrade to the front row at home. Experience with Samsung and Cellular World.
Good evening with your news also simulcast on Fiesta FM 106.7. I am Joanna Rodriguez. Police have removed a sizable quantity of suspected cannabis from a secluded area in the Orange Walk district after acting on intelligence, but the discovery has so far yielded no arrest. Reports indicate that members of the Anti-Narcotics Unit conducted an operation on the night of Sunday, July 5, 2026, at approximately 9 p.m., following information that illegal drugs have been stashed in Carmelita Village. Officers searched a bushy area along an unpaved street where they came across 3 white plastic bags containing several compressed bales. Upon examination, the bales were found to contain a green leafy substance believed to be cannabis. Investigators also discovered that one of the bales had been opened. Inside were cardboard boxes filled with multiple vacuum-sealed packages containing a finely ground substance also suspected to be cannabis. With no individuals found in the vicinity to claim ownership of the drugs, the police treated the seizure as a found property. The suspected cannabis was weighed with the total haul amounting to approximately 57 pounds. Investigators collected samples from the seized material, sealed them for laboratory analysis, and officially logged the drugs as found property. The investigation remains ongoing as authorities continue efforts to identify those responsible for concealing the suspected drugs. A tragic aviation accident claimed the life of a crop duster pilot after his aircraft crashed near Spanish Lookout early this morning, sending shockwaves through the local aviation and farming communities. The deceased has been identified as Henry Plett, an experienced pilot who had dedicated years of service to the agricultural aviation sector. Photographs taken at the crash site reveal that the aircraft sustained catastrophic damage upon impact, leaving little of the plane intact. While emergency responders were called to the scene following the crash, Plett did not survive. According to one of the representatives from the community, Norman Dyke, the circumstances surrounding the accident remain unclear.
Well, I don't know very much. I just know that a plane was spreading fertilizer and it had some incident and it crash landed. So he was a farmer. He did farming, chickens and grains, and then also flying planes. So.
Yeah, and did you know him personally? I mean, what type of person was he? Was he someone close to the community? Was he a fun person? I mean, his personality.
He was. Well, if I would say he was a quieter guy, he's not the one that is that he. But I don't really. Yeah, I don't really know him that good. No.
Now, could you talk about the response from the community, the EMT, the fire truck, the ambulance? I mean, what was that response like when the community first learned of the accident?
Well, before I knew that there was an accident, I saw the ambulance drive. So, and then later somebody told me where it went to. So I personally, I haven't been at the scene as yet.
Have you heard from any of the relevant authorities as yet as to what they believe may have caused such an incident?
No, I have not. No, I would say everything is still under investigation. So.
Authorities are expected to launch a full investigation to determine what led to the fatal crash, including whether mechanical failure, weather conditions, or other factors played a role. Plett's aviation career spanned well over a decade. Records indicate that he joined Aero Crop Dusting in Spanish Lookout in 2012, initially serving on the company's ground and dispatch team before earning his qualifications as a pilot. His progression within the company reflects years of commitment and experience in the industry. A legal battle over whether Police Constable Philip Garbott can face a reinstated harm charge is now headed to the High Court after the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, successfully persuaded the Magistrates Court to restore the case involving the alleged assault of his 8-year-old stepson. The ruling came after the Chief Magistrate heard arguments from DPP Sherilyn Vidal and the defense attorney Alifa Elrington on whether the harm charge, which had previously been dismissed, could lawfully be revived. Elrington opposed the application, maintaining that Garbott had already faced the charge before the court and that the earlier dismissal should prevent any further prosecution. The defense relied on the legal doctrine of utrofois acquit, arguing that Garbott's constitutional protection against double jeopardy barred him from being tried again for the same offense. The prosecution, however, contended that the earlier dismissal was not a determination of the case on its merits. According to the DPP, because the court never heard evidence or began evaluating Garbott's guilt or innocence, the dismissal did not amount to an acquittal and did not prevent the charge from being reinstated. In delivering the decision, the Chief Magistrate agreed with the prosecution's position, finding that Garbott had not been placed in legal jeopardy on the harm charge. The court explained that jeopardy does not arise simply because an accused enters a plea, but only when the court proceeds to hear evidence for the purpose of deciding guilt. The court also distinguished the harm charge involving the child from the wounding charge involving Garbott's common-law wife. While the woman had informed the court that she no longer wished to pursue the matter, the magistrate noted that the complainant in the harm case was the 8-year-old child. According to the ruling, the child, not his mother, would have been the primary witness required to give evidence regarding the alleged offense. As a result, the court concluded that the previous dismissal did not amount to a full adjudication of the allegations involving the child and therefore could not be treated as an acquittal on the merits. Based on those findings, the Chief Magistrate granted the DPP's application and ordered that the harm charge be reinstated. Immediately after the ruling, Elrington filed a constitutional challenge, arguing that restoring the charge violates Garbott's rights under Section 6.5 of the Belize Constitution, which protects individuals from being prosecuted again after being acquitted or convicted by a competent court. The constitutional question now before the High Court is whether reinstating the harm charge, which has been dismissed by Magistrate Walters on April 20, 2026, breaches Garbott's constitutional safeguard against double jeopardy. As a result, proceedings in the Magistrates Court have been stayed pending the High Court's determination of the constitutional application. Garbott's case first attracted widespread public attention in February after video footage circulated online showing a domestic confrontation involving his common-law wife and her 8-year-old son. The 39-year-old officer, who is attached to the Traffic Support Unit of the Belize Police Department, was subsequently charged with aggravated assault, wounding his common-law wife and causing harm to the child. Those charges were dismissed in April after the woman informed the court that she did not wish to continue with the case, prompting the prosecution to offer no evidence. The outcome drew criticism from the child's father, who publicly stated that the justice system had failed to protect his son. The focus of the case will now shift to the High Court, where judges will determine whether the reinstated harm charge can proceed or whether it violates Garbott's constitutional protection against being tried twice for the same offense. A Supreme Court judge has significantly narrowed a lawsuit brought by a Belizean businessman against the police, ruling that most of his allegations cannot proceed because they were filed outside the legal deadline or lacked sufficient detail. However, one claim accusing two police officers of extortion will move forward. Justice Rajiv Gunetilgi handed down the ruling late last month in a case filed by Omar Avelar against the Commissioner of Police and the Attorney General of Belize. Avelar initiated the claim on February 9, 2026 over an incident that occurred on May 5, 2024, when he was arrested and later charged with failing to provide a specimen, possessing a firearm while under the influence, and possessing a pistol loaded with 18 rounds of ammunition. In his lawsuit, Avelar alleged that his detention and criminal charges were unlawful. He also claimed police officers assaulted him during the arrest, leaving him with bruises, a split lip, injuries from being choked, and chest injuries after being stomped on. He further alleged that his wallet and iPhone disappeared while he was in police custody. Beyond the 2024 incident, Avelar accused police officers of engaging in a pattern of harassment and extortion dating back to 2021. According to the claim, two named officers allegedly coerced him into paying 1,200 Belize dollars by check in June 2021. He also alleged that unnamed officers extorted additional sums of $800, $650, and $1,500 from him and members of his family on unspecified occasions. He sought 193,250 Belize dollars in special damages, in addition to general damages for emotional distress and a diminished quality of life. The Commissioner of Police and the Attorney General asked the court to strike out the lawsuit, arguing that it was filed after the one-year limitation period applicable to claims against public officers. They also contended that the extortion allegations were too vague to satisfy the court's pleading requirements. In his decision, Justice Gunetilgi separated the lawsuit into two distinct parts. The judge found that all claims arising from the May 2024 arrest, including the alleged unlawful detention, criminal charges, assault, and missing property, were statute barred. Citing Section 27 of Belize's Limitation Act, he ruled that lawsuits against public officers acting in the execution of their duties must be filed within 1 year of the alleged incident. The court rejected Avelar's argument that the alleged wrongdoing should be treated as a continuing violation, holding instead that the cause of action arose on the date of the arrest. The court reached a different conclusion regarding the extortion allegations. Justice Gunetilgi struck out the claims involving unnamed officers and unspecified dates, finding that they failed to provide the factual particulars required under Civil Procedure Rule 871. Without identifying who was allegedly responsible or when the payments were made, the claims were too vague to continue. However, the allegation involving two specifically named officers, a stated payment of 1,200 Belize dollars, and an identified date in June 2021 survived the strikeout application. The judge held that the claim was pleaded with enough detail to proceed. He further concluded that the alleged extortion is not an act carried out in the lawful execution of a public officer's duties and therefore is not protected by the 1 year limitation period under the Limitation Act. In reaching that conclusion, Justice Gunetilgi relied on a Privy Council decision which held that statutory protections afforded to public authorities must be interpreted narrowly and apply only to actions undertaken in the performance of public duties, not to conduct that could equally occur between private individuals. The court ordered the Commissioner of Police and the Attorney General to file their defense to the remaining extortion allegation by July 9th. Avelar has until July 24 to file any reply, and the matter is scheduled for further case management on July 29th. Justice Gunitelki also ordered Avelar to pay the costs associated with the strikeout application, with the amount to be agreed between the parties or assessed by the court. Coming up next, CARICOM turns to CCJ to resolve legal dispute over Secretary General's reappointment. Stay tuned.
Money travels fast, so make sure you check it before you spend it. Here are 4 easy ways to know your money is real. Look, feel, tilt, and check. Look closely at your note by holding it to the light to see the watermark and the note value. Notice how the see-through image completes itself perfectly. Feel for authenticity. Run your fingers over the raised portrait and the bars on the edges. 1 bar for the $2 and up to 6 bars for the $100. Tilt the note to see the hidden value appear. Look for the moving images on the security thread and holographic shimmer on higher denominations. Check closely. Use UV light or a magnifying glass to find hidden images and microtext. Remember, handling counterfeit money is illegal. If you spot a fake, report it to the police immediately. Look, feel, tilt, and check. Know your money. Check it before you spend it. A message from the Central Bank of Belize.
A legal dispute over the leadership of the Caribbean community is now headed to the region's highest court after CARICOM heads of government agreed to seek an advisory opinion from the Caribbean Court of Justice (CCJ) on the contested reappointment of Secretary General Dr. Carla Natalie Barnett. The decision was reached during the Heads of Government retreat on July 6 in St. Kitts and Nevis and announced in a statement issued by the Conference of Heads of Government on July 7th. The move follows months of disagreements sparked by Trinidad and Tobago, which has challenged the legality of the process used to extend Barnett's tenure. Under Article 212 of the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, the CCJ has exclusive authority to interpret and apply the treaty that governs CARICOM. The advisory opinion is expected to provide legal clarity on whether the procedures followed during Barnett's reappointment complied with the treaty and the community's established rules. In the meantime, CARICOM confirmed that the current arrangement will remain in place. Dr. Barnett will continue serving as Secretary General unless and until the community considers the advisory opinion delivered by the CCJ. The region body emphasized that the matter is strictly a legal and institutional issue rather than a reflection on the integrity or conduct of any individual or member state. Leaders also noted that referring the matter to the court aligns with broader efforts to strengthen governance, transparency, and accountability within CARICOM's decision-making framework. The controversy stems from a July 3rd letter sent by Trinidad and Tobago Prime Minister Kamla Persad Becerrar to fellow CARICOM leaders, including Belize Prime Minister John Briceño. In the correspondence, Persad Becerrar outlined her government's objections to the process that resulted in Barnett's reappointment during CARICOM's 58th regular meeting in February. According to Trinidad and Tobago, the issue of the Secretary General's reappointment was never listed as a standalone agenda item for the conference. Instead, the matter was reportedly addressed under a broader discussion on financing and governance before being considered during a closed Heads of Government retreat. Persad argues that this approach violates Article 11.2 of the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, which guarantees every head of government the right to appoint a representative to any meeting of the conference. She contends that designated ministers, including Trinidad and Tobago's Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, Sean Sobers, were excluded from the retreat where the decision was discussed. The letter also alleges that the reappointment bypassed several mandatory procedural steps. Among the concerns raised are the absence of a recommendation from the Community Council, the failure to formally confirm the decision during a plenary session as required by conference rules, and the lack of the unanimous or three-quarters majority vote stipulated under Article 28 of the treaty. Trinidad and Tobago maintains that only 10 of CARICOM's 15 member states participated in the decision. Further concerns were raised regarding Dr. Barnett's reported involvement in organizing the logistics of the retreat that ultimately considered her reappointment. The Trinidad and Tobago government also questioned the role of CARICOM's General Counsel, arguing that both officials should recuse themselves from matters connected to the legal proceedings now before the CCJ. As an interim measure, Trinidad and Tobago has proposed that if Barnett's current term expires before the CCJ issues its opinion, she should continue serving on a month-to-month basis. The government stressed that such an arrangement should not be interpreted as validating the disputed reappointment process. It has also suggested that the Deputy Secretary General oversee any decisions directly related to the court proceedings during that period. Dr. Barnett, a Belizean economist and former Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Belize, became CARICOM's 8th Secretary General in August 2021, succeeding Ambassador Erwin Lacour. She is the first woman to hold the post in the community's history. The CCJ's advisory opinion, while not resolving a dispute between individual states through litigation, is expected to provide authoritative guidance on the interpretation of the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas. The ruling could set an important precedent for how future appointments and governance decisions are handled within CARICOM, reinforcing the role of the court as the final interpreter of the community's legal framework. Chief Executive Officer in the Ministry of Transportation, Chester Williams, is tonight rejecting claims that the National Bus Company, NBC, is forcing the Transport Department out of its offices at the Belize City and Corozal bus terminals. The concern surfaced after reports suggested that the Transport Department was being evicted from the terminals, which are now managed by the National Bus Company under the government's Public-Private Partnership Initiative. Addressing the matter today, however, CEO Williams confirmed that the relocation of Transport Department offices was part of the original plan when the National Bus Company was established and is intended to improve the overall experience for commuters.
The office space is not sufficient to accommodate those staff, and we are tripling our staff. So if it is that they cannot accommodate the limited staff now, then certainly as we triple the staff across the country, it is going to be even more chaotic in terms of having adequate space for our officers to be able to perform their duties, and more so for the public to be comfortable when they come to do business at the various offices across the country. In some instances, there is no waiting area, and people have to be standing in long lines. If we have an office area that is more conducive, we can have waiting areas where people can be sitting down and wait. Because when you go to, for example, register a vehicle, there's a whole process that one must go through. And for you to have to be standing and enduring this wait, we do believe that having adequate spaces will be able to alleviate these concerns and make our customer base more comfortable as they do business with us.
According to Williams, moving the department's offices out of the terminals will help reduce congestion at the Belize City, Corozal, and Dangriga terminals, creating a more customer-friendly environment while allowing the National Bus Company to make better use of the facilities. In terms of financing, Williams said there would not be much of a shift when renting spaces to host these offices.
Told the bringing together the introduction of the NBC.
Yes, ma'am.
So if that's the case, then you would be able to tell us. I mean, I know you don't know how much each building will cost in these three areas, but what have you allocated for that expense?
Well, it is not going to be much. I don't foresee us renting any building that is going to be at an exorbitant cost. And I can say to you that the fact that the National Bus Company is taking over the terminals, that too will come with some cost savings to government, for the simple fact that the government will no longer be paying the wages of the terminal workers. The government will no longer be paying to maintain these buildings. Those are now going to be the responsibility of the National Bus Company. So the transitioning of the terminals to the National Bus Company is going to have a huge cost savings on the government of Belize. So while we might lose in certain area, we gain more in the other areas. So I believe that we'll be able to meet the rental costs of whatever buildings that we may get across the country to accommodate the transport officers.
Williams emphasized that the Transport Department has not been issued a deadline to vacate the buildings and that discussions on the relocation remain ongoing. The establishment of the National Bus Company has also sparked questions about how privately operated bus companies will assess and use bus terminals now managed by the company. One of the key concerns raised by operators is whether they will be required to pay a terminal usage fee when accessing the facilities. Chief Executive Officer in the Ministry of Transportation, Chester Williams, confirmed that discussions have been held regarding the possibility of introducing a terminal fee. However, he stressed that no final decision has been made. Williams said the ministry intends to continue consultations with stakeholders before implementing any changes. A meeting is expected to be held with the Belize Bus Association to further discuss the proposal and address concerns raised by bus operators.
I don't think so. I think our minister had made it clear in interviews that there's going to be one terminal, and the terminal is going to be owned by NBC, and the other bus companies would have to pay a terminal fee. The minister has said, and he have also said this to President Jones, that he wants to have a meeting or consultations with the BBA and its members to see how we're going to deal with that in terms of the costs, the terminal fee costs, and the cost of other amenities at the terminal. So it's not something that the minister wants to do unilaterally, but rather he wants to do it in consultation with the BBA and its members.
According to Williams, the consultations are aimed at ensuring that any new policies surrounding the use of National Bus Company terminals are fair, practical, and beneficial to both bus operators and the traveling public. Former Miss Universe Belize Isabella Zabani has sought to clarify remarks she made about government procurement rules after facing several days of public criticism over her call to increase Belize's $10,000 procurement threshold. In a detailed public statement issued on Monday, Zabani stressed that she does not support corruption under any circumstances and said her comments had been misunderstood by many members of the public. The former title holder explained that her tenure as Miss Universe Belize officially concluded on June 29, and that when she addressed the People's United Party PUP National Party Council meeting in Dangriga, she did so solely as a private citizen, voter, and Belizean exercising her democratic right to participate in national discussions. Zabani also rejected suggestions that her remarks were intended to defend anyone connected to the ongoing investigation into the Ministry of Defense's Mira Millions procurement scandal. Authorities are currently examining allegations surrounding procurement practices at the ministry. Acknowledging the public reaction, Zabani said she understands why some interpreted her comments as advocating for weaker oversight. If my remarks give anyone the impression that I was suggesting transparency should be weakened or accountability should be compromised, then I understand why that caused concern, she said. Despite the controversy, Zabani reaffirmed her view that the government should review existing procurement thresholds, arguing that they should reflect current economic conditions while maintaining appropriate safeguards and oversight. For context, here are her remarks.
I would like to urge the consideration of a lift of the threshold from 10,000 to a higher number. What matters is value for money. And 10,000 is simply too low for ministries to be allowed to spend. It's micromanaging everybody from the top down to the bottom. We need strong oversight, but 10,000 is too low in this economy. Maybe 30 years ago it was appropriate, but it burdens the office of financial secretaries to be micromanaging all of the ministries. Great leaders are remembered for making hard decisions. So I urge this administration to consider making a hard decision. We are not a party of thieves. We are a party of love. And we are not afraid of any other party or the media propaganda that they will push. Thank you.
I must commend Bella for being very thoughtful and to be brave to make such a recommendation considering what we're going through. But what we're doing at this time, we've been working with the IDB for over a year, coming up with new legislation where we want to set up what we call the Central Procurement Unit.
The proposal drew sharp criticism because it comes against the backdrop of the government's ongoing procurement controversy. As previously reported, investigators are examining allegations that thousands of transactions valued before 10,000, below that is 10,000, were approved for politically connected companies. Critics alleged the payments were deliberately kept under the approval threshold, allowing them to bypass additional scrutiny from the Ministry of Finance. Zabandi's clarification follows a statement from the PUP's United Women's Group, which described the criticism directed at her as a malicious backlash and defended her right as a young woman to express her views on public policy. Chief Executive Officer in the Ministry of Transportation, Chester Williams, upon speaking to the media today, also provided an update on the fuel subsidy program introduced earlier this year to assist the bus operators facing rising fuel costs. The subsidy was implemented following concerns and industrial action by bus operators who argued that soaring fuel prices were making it increasingly difficult to maintain their services without increasing bus fares. According to Williams, the program has been working well and has provided much-needed relief to operators while helping to ensure continued and reliable public transportation across the country.
I can say that the subsidy is going well. The operators seems to be happy. Yes, there were glitches in the beginning, but we worked and sorted out those glitches. And I must commend the BBA and its members for the patience in the inception, because I think for the first 2 weeks, we were not able to pay due to administrative issues within our ministry. And that was explained to them, and they understood and worked with us until we were able to resolve that issue. So I commend them for that. And I hope that we can continue to work together moving forward. There's a lot that we can achieve if we work together. The bus industry is a huge one. There are enough passengers out there to accommodate all the bus operators. And so it's just a matter of ensuring that we all do what needs to be done and give our commuters the best possible service that we can give them.
Williams said the current subsidy was introduced for a fixed period and that any decision to extend it beyond its original time frame will rest with the Prime Minister and Cabinet. And there is more news after the break. Stay tuned.
From whiskeys and wines to elegantly crafted cocktails. Paired with charcuterie boards and perfectly seasoned steak bites, and much more. Perfect for celebrations, quiet nights, and every special occasion in between. 7 Notes Wine and Spirits, where every sip hits the right note.
When speed matters, every second counts. Get ahead with ExpressNet. Fast, reliable, ready when you are.
The Belize Enterprise Empowerment Project BEEP today celebrated another milestone in supporting local entrepreneurs with its Startup Category Cohort 2 Seed Capital Awards ceremony. The BEEP initiative is designed to strengthen micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, MSMEs, by providing entrepreneurs with the financial support and business skills needed to succeed. A total of 127 applicants expressed interest in the program, with 30 entrepreneurs selected to participate in an intensive training program. Following months of training and evaluation, 22 businesses were awarded seed capital grants of $7,000 Belize dollars each to help launch or expand their ventures.
So this is cohort 2 of the startup category under the Belize Enterprise Empowerment Project, which is a MSME enhancement program in terms of it being an opportunity for businesses to get capacity building, training opportunities, business advisory services, ultimately leading up to applying for, pitching, and receiving a grant.
So how many participants did you have sign up for this cohort? How many of them made it through, and what was the duration as well?
Sure. So under this cohort, we had 127 applicants. And then, of course, a big part of it is that your application had to actually be completed. It had to be completed and in good quality. And out of that, 30 persons were shortlisted, 30 businesses were shortlisted, and they went through the training program. A big part of it is that you had to complete at least 80% of the training in order to be able to move on to the next stage. So ultimately, out of that 30, 22 were successful in completing the program and in successfully pitching and convincing the evaluation panel that their business was viable, innovative, and stood a good chance of success.
Participants underwent training in key areas including financial management, digital marketing, sales, and investment readiness. Recipients were selected based on their commitment to the program, training attendance, and the quality of their business proposals.
So I think we have to be thinking of how we can position ourselves as unique in the market, identifying what sets us apart. Another thing is also finding new ways of doing things. That's innovation. It does not only mean digital. Innovation means doing things differently, and that could mean partnering with another provider to help you produce an even better product. So something that is completely unique. And so those are some of the main ingredients. Finding what sets you apart and being innovative, thinking outside the box, partnering, and really being determined to see through your business to success.
The successful businesses represent a diverse range of sectors, including agro-processing, light manufacturing, and tourism. The initiative aims to strengthen Belize's MSME sector by equipping entrepreneurs with the knowledge, resources, and funding necessary to build sustainable businesses that contribute to national economic growth.
So the grant recipients don't receive their full grant right away. They would have had to develop business plans for their business idea. And what we do is provide half the grant amount, and then at the midpoint of their implementation period, where that would have been defined at the beginning, we would assess to what extent they have actually invested in what they said they would invest. And it's only when that is confirmed that they would receive the second half of their grant. Apart from that, there is constant engagement with the entrepreneurs, with the recipients, by the business advisors, either through the Small Business Development Center or the Export Belize unit of Beltrade, to continuously support and to guide them, to answer questions, and to help them succeed. And so there's continuous interaction, and the idea is really for us to keep in touch to assess to what extent they have been successful.
For many of the recipients, the grant represents more than financial assistance. It is an opportunity to turn their entrepreneurial dreams into reality.
For sure, this is definitely a major step for me and my business, in that it provides and allows me to provide better quality service for my clients. You know, I'm able to expand my equipment, and in doing so, I'm able to provide more services for the clients.
How long has your business, when did you start it, and what kind of things do you produce?
So if you remember, I was the winner of KTV last year, and directly after that was the founding of my business. And since then, I've been able to provide sound reinforcement services for events such as weddings, birthdays, concerts, and other conferences of the sort.
And where do you hope to see your business in the next 3 to 5 years?
In the next 3 to 5 years, I definitely want to be able to provide better services for customers, not only in my surrounding area, but also the rest of the country, and maybe even outside of the country. One of the things that I am very passionate about is providing excellent services at every level. So that is something that I'm trying to achieve even now.
Another recipient expressed gratitude for the training and mentorship received throughout the program, noting that the experience has provided valuable knowledge and confidence to take the business to the next level.
I'm Don Humes. The business is Don's Essentials, where we make natural hair oil, and now we'll be expanding to hair mask, beard oil, and some other oils, thanks to the BEEP program. So, yeah.
When did you start your business, and where do you see this money going for it?
Well, the business started maybe a year and a half or so, and I use this BEEP program as a catapult into the next level of this business. So I am excited and I can't wait. And us ladies, I can't wait for you all to see the products that we will provide.
This Enterprise Empowerment Project continues to invest in local entrepreneurs by providing the knowledge, mentorship, and financial support needed to build resilient businesses, create employment opportunities, and contribute to Belize's economic growth. Earlier this year, the Ministry of Transportation launched discussions on proposed reforms to Belize's motorcycle regulations following a rise in motorcycle-related traffic accidents across the country. Among the proposed changes is a requirement for motorcyclists to wear approved safety helmets, a measure aimed at reducing the severity of injuries and fatalities resulting from road traffic incidents. While the proposed regulations have not yet been implemented, Chief Executive Officer in the Ministry of Transportation, Chester Williams, says consultations on the reforms are continuing as the ministry works towards finalizing the new measures.
Not had any regulations with that, Marisol. What we had was where the Bureau of Standards, along with our ministry and the Department of Transport, met, and they looked at different certified helmets within the region, and they were able to come up with 5 different types of helmet that we can use in Belize to be able to ensure that our motorcycle riders are safe when they're riding the motorcycles on the highway. And with that done, the Bureau of Standard now establishes a standard for motorcycle helmets. That standard has been signed by the Minister of Agriculture, who has responsibility for the Bureau of Standards. And now what we need to do is to take it to Cabinet via Cabinet paper and then bring it into law. But again, Minister have said to us that he wants us to do more consultation. So we'll be doing consultations with the different bike clubs and other stakeholders to see how we can get the buy-in from them. We do understand that people tend to resist things at times, especially when they know it's going to come with a cost to them. But the thing is here is that we must sell it to them in such a way that they understand that this has been done for their benefit, for their safety. And I think that if we can do it together and get the buy-in from them, we'll be able to get more support. And so the legal officer and the chief transport officer, along with the planner at the Department of Transport, Ms. Gentle, have been tasked to work on that consultation, bringing the other stakeholders to the table, and then see how we can go across the country and do consultations, get the buy-in from the people. And then once that is done, then we put together a cabinet paper asking cabinet to now make this standard law. And then everybody who then rides a motorcycle on a highway will then be required to wear one of those helmets that meet the standards.
In addition to the proposed helmet requirement, the ministry is placing greater emphasis on rider education and training. Williams said the Department of Transport has already begun conducting motorcycle safety training sessions as part of a broader effort to promote responsible riding practices.
The training that would have had a cost to it, whatever became of that?
The training, we did the training, and I am grateful to FIA. FIA is an international organization that deals with road safety. They sponsor the training for us in its entirety. And I can say to you again that we currently have a training that we're doing right now at the Police Training Academy, dealing with the issue of report writing, statement taking, use of breathalyzers, as well as to introduce the issue with the different standards of helmets. And we will be doing 3 cohorts of that training. And all 3 cohorts have been sponsored by FIA. So FIA has been a very integral part of what we do. They have been great collaborators, and we certainly look forward to continue working with them. They have brought a number of ideas to the table. And, they're pretty much interested, just as we are, in trying to make our highways safer for all our users.
The Ministry of Transportation has indicated that consultations with stakeholders will continue before any changes to the motorcycle regulations are formally introduced. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Wednesday, July 8th here on Ctv3 News and Face FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/ctv3belizenews or our YouTube channel at ctv3bz. From all of us here at CTV3, thank you for watching and listening. Good night.